Good morning, everyone. Let's do some prayers. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhur Tat Savitra Varenyam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Diyo Yo Naha Prachodayat. अस्तो मा सद्गमया तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमया मृत्योर्मा मृतं गमया ओम सहना भवतु सहना भुनक्तु सवीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ओम शांति 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 ओम. Let's open our Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, section 4 and chapter 4 also. If anyone in a million realizes the supreme goal as I am Brahma, from that very moment ceases all activity, all effort, all strain by the body and also the mind. So that doesn't mean that person is not doing anything, effort. Everything is happening without the realization that I am doing it, the doership. Because he has become the all. All this is he himself. And this is the most astounding and superb experience where his little body is replaced by the whole universe. Oneness with the universe. That person is no more a limited being. If at all a body has to be attributed to him, it is the whole universe, nothing less than that. See, just like ignorant person identifies himself with his individual body and feels that he is the body, in fact, nothing but the body, this wise person identifies himself with all the worlds, the whole of the macrocosm, including the microcosm, everything. Because there's no difference between the microcosm and the macrocosm, because they both have merged themselves in the pure, non-dual existence, consciousness, bliss. His thoughts, words, and actions no more bear the stamp of individuality and separateness. He has abolished this individuality and separateness because he understands everything over here is finite. It's just an expression of the infinite, so non-different from the infinite. He realizes that. A meditation on the supreme at the timelessness has been suggested in this chapter. The gods who stand for the senses and the mind become eternal and immortal because they transcend time. This freedom from the limitation of time takes the aspirant beyond space and causation, because these two are only two other limited forms of unlimited, infinite, supreme reality. In today's some of the mantras, we'll see the meditations on Brahma with the help of his expressions in the form of the five senses and then 5 objects, which include in them the whole cosmos, all of it's leading towards the same goal. And senses, including the mind and the intellect also. Even though he is unknowable through the lower mind, because lower mind is full of desires and passions, he is only known through philosophical reasoning by the purified mind. The mind which has gotten rid of rajas and tamas. Mind which is predominated by sattva guna gradually becomes completely pure. And it's able to reflect the Atma fully and clearly. Just like a crystal clear, calm water surface in a lake reflects the shining sun, which is above fully and clearly. The self is depicted as more expansive than the space. But having no birth and death like space, and as pure consciousness, unlike the space, which is inert and non-sentient. Like a compassionate mother, to whom scriptures very often compare the Vedas also. This Upanishad gives a piece of advice to the seekers, especially to those advanced ones who have reached the higher stages of meditations. Such sadhaks are given further instructions. That's what we're going to look at today in these verses. Let's open our books on page number 368. Mantra number 13. Yasya anuvitaha pratibuddh atmaha asmin dehe gahne pravishta sa vishvakrit sa hi sarvasya kartaha tasya loka sa ulok ev. He who has realized and intimately known the Supreme Self that has penetrated this dangerous and inaccessible place, the body, is the maker of the universe. For he is the maker of all is his self, and he again is the very self of all. So he, being already Brahma, attains Brahma. It's not that we are becoming Brahma, we are Brahma already, but we have forgotten it. Brahma alone is the cause of all the phenomenal worlds. That's why he becomes the creator of the universe, because he, in his nature of Brahma, is already so. The world is not different from Brahma, and thus he is the world itself. This mantra shows that he attains complete identity with one and all. So not separate from everybody else, all. An identity that is to be experienced not only through the mind and intellect, but also through intuition. Intuition is the one which transcends all phenomenal experiences. So that's why we have to do more and more meditations in order to have this experience. Experience of anything takes time. And especially experience of something like this, definitely we need to do some sadhana. Let's see verse number 14. इह एव संतो अथ विश्व अद्वयम न चेत एव इदम हति विनष्टि ये तद विदुर अमृतास्ते भवन्ति अथ एत्रे दुःखम एव अपयन्ति. Being in this very body, we have somehow realized Brahma. Otherwise, I should have been ignorant, and there would have been great havoc. Those who know it become immortal, while others only suffer misery. Because it's a great loss to stay ignorant. And the suffering what he's talking about are the miseries of the sansara, which are beyond description. And the ignorance is the root cause of human sufferings. It is very hard to suffer birth, old age, disease, and death. So if a person knows Brahm in the manner which has been described by this great Rishi, and he's talking about the immortality, because Atma is immortal. And that is the knowledge we need to experience. And if he does not know Brahm, he would be caught in the round of births and deaths. The knower of Brahm attains liberation while living. That's why they are called Jivan Mukta. As soon as ignorance, which is the cause of bondage, is dispelled by the attainment of knowledge of Brahma, a person gets liberation actually. That is a liberation. In the Kane Upanishad, we learned that in the mantra number 5, chapter number 2. All the Upanishads, with the help of the different stories or different, the words come from different rishis, but they echo the same message. Verse number 15. Yada etam anupashyat atmanam devam anjasaha ishanam bhut bhavasya natataha vijukpste. When a man, according to the instructions of a teacher, directly sees this effulgent self, the Lord of what has been and will be, he no longer desires, particularly to hide himself from it. So a knower of Brahm does not conceal himself anymore. The sage who has realized his Atma beholds that all objects and all beings are not distinct from his own self. This is a feeling of oneness. And that his Atma is the Atma of all. It's not my Atma and your Atma, or I am bigger than you or smaller than you. We are all one. How can that great soul who is resting in his own Atma and has such exalted cosmic consciousness shrink from any being with a feeling of repulsion? Like you are lower than me or less than me. This is what this mantra is telling us. Or how can he dislike anything? How can he hate anybody? It is absolutely impossible. He is in harmony with all, with the whole universe, and the whole universe is a friend. a well-wisher, his support, and beneficiary. All separateness goes, all isolation vanishes. In fact, all differences disappear. All temporality terminates. And along with all that, all sense of non-separateness, unification, non-difference, and eternality also ceases. This is the state of Brahm, or the knower of Brahm. It is not a state at all like the waking, dreaming, or deep sleep. Yet it includes all, but still it transcends all. Or you can say that it is a stateless state. Because there is no term which can explain this. Let's look at verse number 16 also. Yasmat arvak swant saro aho bhi parivartate tad eva jyotisham jyotir ayu hi upasate amritam. Beneath which the year with its days and nights revolves, upon that immortal light of all lights, the gods meditate as longevity. So now he's talking about the supreme grandeur of the Atam Brahma, the light of lights. This is what he is explaining. He is not only the light of the microcosm, but he is also the light for the macrocosm. He alone is the revealer of the luminaries, which we are normally familiar with as sun and the moon, or the stars. They got their physical power of illumination from Brahma. Under his orders, the years with their subdivisions of the months, the fortnights, and the days, also their further subdivisions, such as hours, minutes, and seconds, keep on rolling incessantly. Such is his glory. Gods worship him as immortal life. That's why anyone who desires long life should also meditate on him as such. He is eternity with reference to what we call time. Kal. What this time is, nobody can explain in clear terms. It is as mysterious as the absolute, because it is the manifestation of the absolute itself. It forms one of the legs of the tripod on which the whole phenomena may be set to rest. So time. And the other two legs are the space and causation. That's why we often talk about time, space, causation. And it's very mysterious. All three of them, and indescribable. All the three do not exist apart from the absolute, though. We should remember. Only those fortunate few who, through the knowledge and meditation, transcend time, along with it the other two factors, can know what time really is. Only those few can be said to be really free and liberated from the bondage of the phenomenal world. To them, alone shines the light that illumines all other lights, which reveals the time, space, and causation, and the whole universe, which appears to rest on that tripod. It is the light of the senses and the mind also. It is the power behind them which enables them to illumine all the objects. And this is the supreme absolute to be meditated as timelessness, and also time, that which transcends time and timelessness. And this meditation becomes or takes us towards the immortality in its due time. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11, verse number 32, Lord Krishna proclaimed that. He says, Kalo asmi. I am the time. Because when Arjun got afraid, looking at that Virat Roop, and he wanted to know, who are you? He says, Kalo asmi. And this is what this Rishi is talking about over here, that Brahma is all that. Verse number 17. Yasmin panch jana akashash pratishtata tam eva manyaha atmanam vidvan brahma amrito amritam. I believe that self alone to be the immortal Brahma, on which the five aggregates and the unmanifested ether rest. Knowing it, I am immortal. So the immortal Atma is described in this mantra as that on which the five groups of five and the ether stand. Anybody who knows the Sankhya philosophy knows these groups, and we have learned this also in Bhagavad Gita too. The principle of the fives. The five groups together, they are like 25 categories. Even if they are grouped into 5 sets of 5 each, there are no attributes in common to each pentad. They cannot be divided into groups of 5 or any basis of similarity. That's why sometimes people say these are 5, or then add another 120, make it 26 also. But this Rishi is talking about Panch Jana. 5 beings, only each of whom is called a Panch Jana. It is just like the phrase Sapta Rishi, which denotes the constellation consisting of 7 stars. So sometimes these terms in the Upanishads, we got to understand the deeper meaning behind it. So who are these 5 beings? They who have known the vital force of vital force, the eye of the eye, the ear of the ear, the food of the food, the mind of the mind. They who know this have directly realized the most ancient primeval Brahma. So from here we can understand the 5 beings refer to the vital force, and the other 4. Even though the food is not mentioned in this text, but the 4 mentioned in that verse together with light mentioned in the text would make the 5 things. Five beings may also mean the gods, the mains, the celestial minstrels, demons, Rakshas, or Brahmans, Kshatriya, Vaishyas, Shudra, and Nishads. There are several 5 categories. But we got to understand he's talking about the all. Everything included in there. The Atma, which is the ultimate support and mainstay of all, is one's own self. So the bottom line is that Atma is no different than the Brahm, and we have to realize that. Not just talk about it, not just memorize it, but realize it. Let's look at next words also. Pranasya hai, pranam ut, chakshu, achakshurut, shrotasya, shrotram, manusoye manovidu, te ni chakyuh brahma, pranam, agrayam. Those who have known the vital force of the vital force, the eye of the eye, the ear of the ear, and the mind of the mind have realized with certainty the eternal, primordial Brahma. So those who know the very vital force of the vital force, pran of the pran, the very eye of the eye, etc., have known Brahma. Because Brahma alone is the source of consciousness present in all the organs. Without Brahma, none of these organs can perform their respective functions. So this is the light of Brahma. Without the light of the Brahma, they are non-existent. All these powerful forces which we talk about. That's why he said he's the mind of the mind. Because he's not a sense object that can be cognized by the mind, but the innermost self, from which all words return without reaching it together with the mind. And this is from Taittiriya Upanishad we learned the same message. Next verse, verse number 19. Manasaha ev anudrishtyvam na ihe nana asti kinchan mrityosa mrityum apnoti ya ev nana ev pashyati. Brahm is to be known by the mind in accordance with the instructions of a teacher. There is no diversity whatsoever in it. He who sees diversity as it were in it goes from death to death. So that means does not attain immortality or the goal of this life. So how then a Brahm is to be realized who is beyond the field of operations of mind and the organs, and is the source and support of all? So this is the question, and the answer is given in this verse. He says that by the mind alone should Brahm be realized. Manaiva manushyanam karnam bandh moksha. Mind. The mind should be purified by the knowledge obtained from the Guru and the scriptures. The mind, we know, is it of two kinds. Mind can be pure, mind could be impure. Which mind is impure? The mind which is filled with the subtle impressions of the past karmas, egoism, greed, anger, lust, etc. Brahm can be known only by a pure mind. And this mind becomes pure through the possessions of the fourfold qualifications. What are those qualifications? Vivek, Vairagya, Shat Sampati, and Mumukshutvam. That's how we keep on purifying our mind. Make this strong instrument which God has given it to us so that we can know Brahma. Vivek is the discrimination, to know what is true, what is false. To be able to identify what is real and what is unreal. Vairagya is a dispassion. Whatever is unreal, detach from it. Shat Sampati, those are the 6 virtues we need to cultivate. Sham, Dam, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhan, Uprati. And Mumukshutvam is the aspiration for liberation. So through all this, we can purify our mind. And we all know this mind is made out of Prakriti. So in the Prakriti, everything keeps on changing. And so is our mind. So that's why we need the sadhana. And in a sadhana, there's a threefold practice. Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasan. Shravan is hearing, reading the scriptures. Manan, reflecting upon what you heard or what you read. And then ultimately, Nididhyasan, you got to meditate. You need to practice. So all of this will help us to make our mind pure. In Brahm, there is no internal or external diversity of any sort. Because Brahm is a pure consciousness. Brahm is destitute of the attributes of the sansar. It's only due to ignorance we superimpose diversity in him. And the knower of the Brahm realizes that there's a Brahm alone and nothing else exists. And that this world is only the manifestation of Brahm. That's why when we argue about that there's a one God or many gods, a realization or experiencer of this truth will say, what are you talking about? There's only God. Where is the question of one and many? It's only God. He does not see even the slightest difference in him, for the difference also is seen as Brahma. Because he who sees any difference in Brahm, different from Brahm, through ignorance, lack of knowledge of the truth, will definitely get caught up in this coming and going into this sansara. This is what we are learning in these great verses. Let's look at one more verse, verse number 20. एकध एवः अनुद्रष्टव्यः एतं प्रम्यं ध्रुवं विरजाः पर आकाशदज आत्मः महान ध्रुवः. It is to be realized in accordance with the instructions of a teacher only as homogeneous, for it is unknowable, unchangeable, and free from impurities. The self is superior to the unmanifested ether, unborn, infinite, and indestructible. Exactly the message we got from the other Upanishads also, Bhagavad Gita also. He is unknowable by the ordinary means of objective knowledge. But that doesn't mean that he cannot be known. He can be known by the negation of all finite attributes of the practice of neti doctrine. Na iti. As the one, non-dual, homogeneous, unchangeable, extremely pure, beyond even the most subtle ether. Because we talk about these 5 elements. The grossest element is Prithvi, the earth, then the water, then fire, then air, then the subtlest is the ether, the space. So he says, even beyond the most subtle ether. Then he says it's unmanifested, free of the 6 changes, such as birth, existence, change, growth, decay, and death. Because all these changes, they do happen in the Prakriti, not in Brahma. He is vaster and more pervasive than space. He is immutable and yet immediate, eminent, and also transcendental. So with all these terms, he is trying to explain to us what our goal is. Because meditation on Brahma in this unmanifested form is difficult. That's why when we hear these words and we choose a form, or the form our Guru gives it to us, even though form we are meditating upon, but in that form itself, we see that infinite Brahma, Par Brahma. This is what he's talking about over here. So ultimately, this sadhak needs to meditate and reach to this state. Let's stop it here. We'll start with verse number 21 next week. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnameva Vishishyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you very much for joining.